Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book Embrace Your Awesome, no other than Mr. John Geyston.
Hello, sir. How are you? Appreciate you having me on.
I'm fabulous like you, Mr. John. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. So I've been coaching. I'm from Tampa, Florida. Been coaching children for about 43 years and teaching the martial arts. And the book was really an expansion of what I wanted to do beyond my four walls. Things such as teaching children confidence, self-esteem, affirmations, positive talk, how positive talk leads into affirmations, visualization. How do we deal with negative peer pressure? How do, the difference of understanding that my self-esteem helps with my direction and my self-discipline. So it's just kind of like, what can I do that I've always been doing for 43 years on inside my academy? How can I expand that beyond those four walls? And that was the purpose of the book, is really to get out there and do that. And, now we're working on a parent's guide. The second book will be a parent's guide to helping children live their best life by embracing all these characteristics and chapters that are in there, about 17 chapters. And really just expand upon that. Then we're also going to supplement that with an online course that has downloads, videos, and everything involved to give more of a personal interaction and almost in a live tutorial type setting. So pretty excited about all this and sharing that with people.
Mr. John Geyston, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Why did you feel it was important to focus on empowering kids and building self-confidence?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely, I think our confidence is our number one tool, right? And if you ask a young child what he wants to be, you ask a 4 or 5 year old what he wants, the things that he or she says are just these big dreams. And then when you start talking to them like at third or fourth grade, these dreams have become smaller. And I truly believe that's because we're in a society, even with our friends in school, that someone's going to laugh at us or make fun of that, or you start conforming your dreams to fit in. And, I think confidence is some of that, and it's the most powerful tool that we have. And I always say my intention when I start, and it wasn't when I started my academy, but I would say probably about 13, 14 years into my academy, I realized my mission was I want to be the person I needed when I was 9 years old and struggling with my own self-esteem and my own confidence. And I realized what martial arts did for me and what my coaches and my instructors did for me. So we wanted to, that became my mission. That became more of my focus. Yes, we want to teach all incredible techniques, but at the end of the day, a child has to believe in himself a lot more than they're ever going to hopefully have to get out of a headlock.
Indeed, Mr. John, totally agree with you. And what age group is the journal best suited for, and why?
Yeah, when I originally wrote it, that's a great question. When I originally wrote it, 8 to 12-year-olds is what we had intentionally intended the book for. But we do have some 5 and 6-year-olds that have read it, and it's interesting to me. My uncle, who I did not know until my adult life, my family was kind of separated from my father's side of the family, and he wrote me, and my aunt had bought him the book. And he called me and he said, "Johnny, I wish someone would have had a book like this." And now, so he's 78 years old. He writes me or calls me and tells me, "I just read your book. What an amazing book. I wish someone would have had this in my hand when I was 12 years old. My life would have been completely different and probably at a higher level of success." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I have adults that are telling me they're getting something out of it. But the mission of that was to focus on that 8 to 12-year-old. And obviously there's, like I said, 5 and 6, we've had great compliments from parents who have 5 and 6-year-olds that are reading the book and they're working with them on the book. And it does have some, at the end of every chapter, there is activity questions to engage in thought. So we're hearing it from everybody, all the way down to, I have to share this story. My wife's grandmother is 93 years old. And she was on a trip and someone had my book in the car and she read it and she goes, "This is amazing. John wrote this." And, so I don't know if there's any, I think all the information, obviously the reading level, I would say is 8 to 12, but I think the information is ageless. It's going to help all of us. It's stuff that we need to, as an adult, maybe we've never heard, or maybe we need to be reminded of.
Mr. Gunn, how does this journal differ from other self-help books or journals for children?
Yeah, I think for me, my intentions was to put it in some type of chronological order that cohesively came together, right? And I think the order of it, but also the activity sheets that we put at the end of every chapter. Because if I read something, but I don't reflect on it, I don't think about it, or I don't figure out how to apply that in my life, it's just information. And we want it to be, I do not conform to the ideal that knowledge is power. I believe it is potential power as long as we know how to apply the knowledge that we've gotten. So with me, I wanted to make sure at the end of every chapter, there was activity sheets and things that we could, to offer them to get them to increase their understanding of what they just read. And how can I apply that in my life?
Yes, indeed. How would you apply it to your life itself? So let's talk about the content and structure. Can you walk us through how the journal is structured?
How the journal is, and I'm sorry, can you say that again?
How is the journal is structured?
It's structured basically by chapters, everything from confidence, defining. We get parents come in all the time and say, I want to increase my child's self-esteem. And the question I always ask is, have you talked to your child about self-esteem? And I would say 9.5 out of 10 times they have not, because they didn't know how to talk to their child about this. So we structured this book in a sense that it explains not only what it is, but why it's important in their life. And again, as I said, with the activity sheets at the end of it, to think about everything that they just read. And it's going everything from confidence to understanding my feelings, to understand that self-esteem, when someone talks good to me, my self-esteem goes up. When someone talks bad to me, my self-esteem goes down. So also, what does that do? Well, that starts talking to us about our inner circle of people and peer pressure and all these others. So it leads kind of into building blocks of my confidence, my self-esteem, positive words, patterns of positive words, how to turn them into affirmations, visualization, and then other techniques. How do I deal with peer pressure? How do I deal with negativity? How do I deal with my inner circle? And when is it a time to focus on me and not focus on other things? So I think the structure of it is probably some of the success of that book.
Very well said, Mr. Gunn. Beautifully articulated.
Thank you.
Were any of the exercises inspired by personal experiences or stories?
I would say a little bit of both. I definitely was total. Real quick background. I'll give the Reader's Digest version. My father was killed in a car accident when I was 4. My mother and my father had me when they were 18 and 16. I come into the world, and then my mother was widowed at the age of 21 with myself, who was 4, and my sister, who was only a few months old at that point. And then the family isolation and stuff like that took place after that. So I think that always had an impact on me. So there was a lot of times when I reflect later in my life when I struggled and I didn't like this baseball coach, or I didn't like this, or I didn't, why was I rebellious against this authority? Why was I seeking approval? So I think a lot of that was when I reflect on myself, but also coaching, I'm listening to these stories, and my life was not drastically terrible. It just wasn't the ideal dream life. And I've listened to stories of people with such extreme and severe issues beyond anything that I've done. And, so it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of my own past experience, but also what in the 43 years of coaching and dealing with people, I believe in coaching the person from the inside. We can always coach on the outside, but me understanding, I think a good coach, a good mentor, a good guide is someone who understands who we are and is guiding us through that activity, be it in martial arts, be it jujitsu, be it golf, be it soccer, be it football, be it a spiritual class that I'm taking. Who are my mentors in life? Do they understand me and are helping me evolve into the best version of myself? So I would say a lot of those things all compiled into coming together and helping me put the book together.
So let's talk about the impact on children. How do you hope children will feel after using this journal?
The big thing is I want everybody to understand that we're all unique. Every quality that we have there's a potential within us that we don't understand. There's a potential within us that we're not tapping. And I think a lot of that is because it's I don't want to say a disbelief, just not awakening of who we are, what our confidence is, and what is our true potential? What is it that we can do? So, my whole thing in this is I want people to just reflect on a moment that they can find some strength in themselves and they understand that, oh, I did this. This might be a talent. This might be a gift. Or is it just something I'm simply good at? And then also understanding that all my strengths can have a weakness. And I think it's equally right that we just don't have all this positive rah-rah talk. What is it that I'm weak at? And if I'm weak at that, with the right understanding, the right mentor, the right coach, if I try to take my deficiency or my weakness and work on improving it step by step, can I become a better version of myself? So it's not just embracing what we're great at, but also embracing what I'm not so good at. And, so my intentions is to understand us, for the child to understand themselves, I should say, and then strengths and weaknesses and everything that go involved with it.
How does embrace your awesome help children overcome negative self-talk or bullying?
Yeah, I think negative self-talk is so it's out there, right? I think it's so real in life. Matter of fact, I just had this conversation with a 25-year-old student of mine, and he has a very successful career, but I would say every third word out of his mouth is something about how he's not good, or he's not good at this, oh man, that was terrible, wasn't it? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you got to quit talking this way. And, here's an adult. And I think we all live in this world where understanding a deficiency and a weakness isn't necessarily feeding a negative word to myself, a negative mindset, because these patterns of the words that we use will start to what? They're going to impact the way that we see things, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we see that. So just rephrasing terms, right? For example, when we're teaching in my place, and then when I talk to parents about this, I want to find what is the one thing that they are doing absolutely very good at, or better. It doesn't have to be great. What are they doing that's better than the thing that I want to address? And when I address the thing that I want to address it in the sense that it's helpful. And this little detail will make you at a better level. So in our terminology would be, hey, let's say, for example, we're throwing, and I'll just use this as a martial art term. If I'm throwing a punch and it's completely, and my thumb's sticking out here, which is completely wrong, I'm going to say, man, your power and your focus was amazing. But to be more like a black belt, the end result, to be more like a black belt, let's tuck the thumb in here and now do it. And then I want to catch you doing it right. And then come back and catch you doing it right later and give you that feedback. So once we get that positive referencing going, then it's just changing terminology too. My favorite thing that I tell parents all the time is when a child says, I'm not good at baseball yet. Put the word yet on the end of every time that you have a negative thought. I am not good at this. I am not good at that. 15 years ago, I remember going on a radio show and completely going blank before I started to speak. because it was the first time I ever did it. And, now I'm doing podcasts on a regular basis, videos on a regular basis, speaking in public crowds on a regular basis. And it was because it was the yet theory, right? I am not good at this yet, but I do not quit. It's consistency and in embracing the willingness not to be excellent at something is going to make me better at it as with time going on.
Again, very well said, Mr. John. Beautifully articulated. And as an author, what will be your short-term and long-term goals?
The book itself was, I had a reading deficiency when I was a freshman in high school. I had to go to special classes because I had a 6th grade reading level. And it was difficult for me to make that. I didn't want to be seen going in and out of that class. I didn't want to do that class, but I'm so thankful, right? Because, I was struggling in school, my freshman and sophomore year, junior, senior year. I'm a high honor roll student. College, I did extremely well, carried a high GPA. And so just by that alone was that, getting better at that. So writing a book, and I actually in there thank the lady, and I've done everything I can to reach contact with her, but I know nobody knows who the teacher was. But I give her kudos for that because she talked with me, not at me, and she developed my reading skills and allowed me to do what I do. So writing the book first was to overcome that weakness that I had earlier in my life and to say, okay, we've done this. And that's that same thing as I just want to extend that message way beyond my 4 walls because I know what we're doing in the academy. And, I have a 35-year-old student that hasn't trained with me since they're now 35. She's a mother. She has children. And she just wrote me the other day and says, I'm going to be in Tampa area and I would love to come and see you. Now, she was a student of mine when we were in Illinois. And to have her update me on her life and things and tell me that we've made a difference. That is, to me, that's totally the most, how do I want to say, heartwarming achievement, kudos. I would rather have that than a paycheck. And so I think to extend that beyond my 4 walls and to make that impact with somebody, that really was the whole purpose of the book and where I hope it continues. And we're going to try to expand upon that with the online programming, coaching, and weekly things in our community where we can go on and give an activity for the week to parents, like a positive reference jar where positive words, we pose the positive words out and how we're going to put that in our vocabulary that week and things like this. So just expanding that message and really making an impact greater than we were able to make just in our 4 walls.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. John, and looking for more and more empowering books like this to come. Let's talk about the personal touch of the book itself. What does awesome mean to you personally?
Awesome, I think obviously is this word that we use all the time, but to me, it's potential. It is, if I can tap into my potential and do something beyond my comfort zone. We got this comfort zone that's right here, right? And I always say the magic happens, the magic happens on the outside, not on the inside of my comfort. So what can I do to start leaning on that wall? So when I say that is, let's embrace that. And if I fail, failure is a part of success. It's not a definition, a permanent definition or a labeling. It is a part of success. So with me, that's the embracing the awesome is all those things kind of combined, not just the rah-rah. And it's reaching in and understanding this potential, leaning into that and understanding struggle and failure and falling short of a goal is a part of success.
Indeed. totally agree with you, Mr. John. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, book 101 review in 5th season, and comedy 101 in its 2nd season. My food 101 in its 5th season as well, geography 101 and love letters and 3rd season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, Movie 101 review, and Music 101 in each 4th season. So please do listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. John, if there's one message you hope every child takes from this journal, what is it?
So obviously, I would say, man, I would love to. That's a great question. I don't know if I have like one thing that I would say. Is to understand their potential, understand their gift, their uniqueness, and the best is yet to come. Keep working. The best is yet to come.
Interesting, Mr. John, and thank you so much for sharing your book to the world. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your book as well as your podcast?
No, absolutely. If you go to johngeyston.com, my name, which is I believe on the screen there, johngeyston.com, and subscribe on the contact form. Go ahead and subscribe to that because we're getting ready to release all this stuff. And there's a lot of community things in there that are absolutely available to you as free resources to parents, coaches, and to children and to all ages, really. There's a lot of things that we're doing, not just, right now the book is focused on that, but we also do a lot of, I go out and I talk to business owners about embracing the awesome in their business and embracing their awesome as parents, embracing our awesome just as an adult, pursuing my own career and path that we want to. So that's at johngeyston.com. Please reach out. You can order the book right there as well as you can on Amazon. And then keep in tune with us or keep in touch with us so we can share with you a lot of the things that we're going to be working on. That in 5 to 6 weeks, there's going to be a lot of activity going on as we release this online program.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. John Geyston, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering episodes to come. So, Mr. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
More to come, people. See you soon.